Hi, everyone. We are going to try this one more time. We have been having a couple of technical difficulties.
So please let us know if you're there on my Facebook page.
I'm going to do a refresh, but I am seeing 4 out of 4 platforms receiving the feed now. So that said, you guys, thank you. Thank you so much for bearing with us. We are very, very excited about tonight's guest. And so because you have been so nice to wait for us through the technical difficulties, we're going to skip right past all the rehashing of last week and what's going on. We'll do that later if you guys want to join us.
Oh, good. Look at people are popping on like crazy.
Yeah.
Usually we say hello to everybody as they come on, but if you guys understand, we want to go right to our guest because she has patiently been waiting for to come on, and we're so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for waiting for us. We're giving everybody a minute or two.
Yeah, and just so that you guys know, we have done 68 of the cooking shows, and this is episode 15 of Talking with Debi and Friends, the podcast. And so out of those shows, we've only had a couple of technical difficulties, one of which was when we were having the fires, and there were a lot of emergency vehicles up near our house, and so internet was spotty. This is the other one.
Ooh.
And there's just no rhyme or reason. Sometimes you are subject to the internet gods, and tonight was one of those nights. So I'm glad
eerie.
Eerie.
Ooh.
No, it's not eerie.
Ooh.
But just so that you know, I almost punched a hole through my monitor.
But Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
We are here. Yay. So I know a lot of you have been wanting to, you've been anxious about this. You're okay.
I almost punched a hole in my monitor.
I know. You're okay.
I still want to punch a hole through my monitor.
Scare our guest. Do you want to scare our guest?
No, she's a lovely lady.
She's lovely. Hi, Tina. I know that you're new. Hi, Anna Maria. Hi, Richard. If I start, I won't stop.
Yeah, don't do that yet. We'll come back to you guys.
So anyway, this is an issue that Travis and I have been skirting for a long time. We even have money already put down on a plan, a will, and we just haven't gotten to it. But this isn't about wills. This is about
family legacy.
Yeah, it's about family legacy. But the one sentence that pops into my mind, first of all, we're going to be joined by my good friend, Kat Lane. She's been a friend so long, since we're 5 and 6. That's how long. And she is an advanced, she'll give me the right title.
Advanced planning.
And legacy.
Family legacy. Mm-hmm.
And when I first asked her to come on, she wrote me this beautiful email, and she'll tell you more about it. But what caught my eye is, did you know there are 68 things somebody has to do within the first 24 to 48 hours when someone passes away? That just blew my mind. And once you start thinking about them and breaking them down, you realize that there are that many activities that must be addressed. And we are not going to get out of this alive. We are all going to end this life at some point, and we're going to have to care for somebody who ends their, who is at their life's end. I'm nervous. I'm sorry. I think it's all the technical difficulties, and
it's my nervous energy. I apologize, you guys.
And we wanted to have a comedian on who was going to kind of, provide some laughs and levity, and he couldn't make it. He got a last minute gig and had to travel. So we're just kind of out of sorts. So can you guys drop us some hearts in the comments
let's do quickly,
to let us know that you're with us?
Let's quickly say hi to everyone, because I know that you guys took time out of your day.
Yes.
And so we want to say hi. So BG Casas, Eva, Monica,
Tony,
my dad,
Scott Hill Gomez.
Let's go. 1 second. And Pilar, our baby.
Yeah. Joe Nash, BG Casas,
Uncle
we already
Joe.
said that. Debbie Grow, hello. Richard and Anna Maria. Tina Forrestel is a brand new listener, and this topic is very interesting to her in that she cares for her parents, her elderly parents. Debbie Wheatley Ferguson and Christine are here. Linda Kathy Holmes, I hope you're doing okay. Oh, thank you for the hearts, BG. I hope you're doing okay in Texas there. Thank you, Scott. We love you too. Audrey's here. Audrey, you're going to see your childhood friend, Kat. Mike Bilberry is here. No, we were real close neighborhood. We were one of those neighborhoods where you could turn on, you could go out and play. And then when the lights came up, the street lights. You had to go home. It was common to eat dinner at other people's house or spend the Saturday at their house, or to have them come to your house. And it was just this really close Catholic neighborhood. Everybody went to the same school and church. And so that's how I've known Kat all these years. And anyway, so
let's bring her on.
Let's bring her on.
Without further ado, you guys, Kathleen.
Oh, we have somebody from Canada. Your sister from Canada.
Actually, it's my cousin's wife from Canada. Thanks, Anne, for joining.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for joining, Anne. She's Tina said, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So we're so sorry about the technical difficulties. We're so happy to have you. And people are dropping in the comments. I went to kindergarten with Kat. So anyways, what you do fascinates me. It terrifies me. It is something I know I have to do. It's something that I shy away from. And I think a lot of people do. And when someone passes away, like when my dad passed away, my brother stepped in and did everything. And while he was there, he did everything for my mom. He did the pre-planning. And so now we don't have to think about anything. And, we can just deal with our grief at hand. But I imagine when you're grieving and on top of this, you have to make all these choices. So do you want to start with the story that you shared with me on email, if you think it's appropriate or if it's too personal?
Okay. Oh, gosh. No. Absolutely. Okay. First of all, I'm going to ask everybody. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for being on. So nice that you guys would support Debi and, Travis, and then come on for this subject. Not an easy subject to talk about, not anybody's favorite subject, but it's necessary that we talk about it. It's, we buy auto insurance because we might have a car accident. We buy house or rent insurance, flood, maybe fire. But we need to think about buying insurance against the one thing that is going to definitely happen. There's no way out of this, right? So it doesn't have to be a daunting task. And quite frankly, when you make a plan when you're still alive, when you come in to see me, or if we have a phone conversation because of COVID, it's so much easier. We're laughing, we're talking, we're planning something, and it's not scary, it's not daunting, and I'm certainly not the Grim Reaper. So that being said, I'll tell you a little bit why I started doing what I do. And that's because quite a few years ago, my own mom passed away. And my dad said, we're so glad that we took care of everything. And so we went to the funeral home, me and my siblings, Debi, all my siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah, Audrey. So we went to the funeral home, and lo and behold, the lady said, well, there's good news and bad news. The good news is your mom and dad bought their cemetery plots. The bad news is they didn't plan for their funerals. So now you've got my dad, who's devastated. We are all devastated,
it was
exhausted. Sudden. Pardon me?
It was sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Your mom's passing.
Completely sudden, out of the field. So they were down in San Diego. We all had to go down there. We take time off of our jobs. It's typical what people do.
You had to fly Andrew in from Florida.
Right. Yeah. So here we are, 3 young adults. Well, not so young. Late 20s, early 30s. But we're in the funeral home, and now we have to make decisions. My dad can't go because he's devastated, and we're all in shock. And I will tell you now, in retrospect, we made some really bad decisions. And we guessed that we gave a good service, had a nice service for our mom, traditional Catholic. So, we did the whole casket thing and everything. But the one thing that stuck with me, and I share this with a lot of people, when we went to the funeral home, again, we were all in shock. But what annoyed me, I guess you could say, is when we had to go look at the caskets. That made it real. And I say it annoyed me for the fact that the woman who was showing us the caskets was like a car salesperson, and she would upsell us and say, "Oh, mom would love this. Mom would love this one." Well, she didn't know my mom, so it just stuck in my craw. So that transpired. Later on down the road, my dad was becoming ill, so my older sister and I went to our home, and now my dad said he had taken care of everything. So we went, and my dad had taken care of very few things. And so I was not in the funeral industry at the time, but I asked the gentleman a lot of questions. He was wonderful. We must have spent 2 hours with him. And as we were leaving, he said, have you ever thought of a career doing, being a funeral director? And I said, oh, no, no way, not my thing. So I ended up getting in the car with my sister, and she said, he's got a good point. You have a personality that would just fit so well. And I said, yeah, but I'm really afraid of talking about death or thinking about it. I'm human. Well, wouldn't you know it, about 10 years ago, guess who got into the funeral industry? And I have to tell you, I left the corporate world, corporate America. I wanted to do something. I was in retail, doing very well, but I was burned out. And I also wasn't doing something that I felt was helping people. So that's when I decided. I answered. They were looking for a cemetery sales leader in. This is kind of funny. It was at a Jewish cemetery in Los Angeles, and I knew very little about Judaism, but I'm a quick study, so I learned very quickly about Judaism and the culture, and around dying and death and the traditions. Anyway. So then I met a wonderful person, a wonderful woman, and I ended up moving to Northern California, applied for a job up here, got it, and started in the funeral industry. So now I have experience in both the funeral and the cemetery fields. And what I have learned, I would say my biggest aha moment is it is so much easier on the family if there's a plan in place versus there not being a plan in place. When there's a plan in place, the survivors spend maybe 40 minutes an hour on average meeting with the funeral director, just making sure that everything's good, we're ready to go. When you don't have a plan in place, I promise you, your family can expect to spend on average 3 hours in the funeral home. On average, I've seen much more time spent than that. And the thing that I will tell you also, having met with hundreds of families who just lost loved ones, we as parents want to believe that our kids are fabulous and they get along and they'll pull together. Oh, I could share stories with you. We don't have time, but I could write a book and I could share stories with you on. I've had people on one time, Deb, I shared this with you. I was meeting with a family. I think there were 7 adults at the time. People were coming in and out of the arrangement room. There was no plan in place. And the older brother who was taking charge and who was going to pay for it, he said, we're choosing cremation because it's less expensive. And his younger sister on my right side, she's crying and said, no, Mom's Catholic and Mom wanted a traditional funeral. We can't do this. So I had to excuse myself and let them hash it out. And these are reasons I saw such a need for somebody with experience in the funeral industry and in the cemetery industry, somebody with experience to step outside and to be an advocate for people and to help people tell them what they need, what they don't need. And so here I am. And I am so thrilled with what I get to do, what I'm honored and blessed with as a career.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it has to be a passion. Otherwise you are a used car salesman, because you said that in the funeral business, they taught you how to upsell. Take advantage of the grief and just upsell.
Yes. I was in the corporate funeral world, unfortunately. And I have to tell you that I'm glad I had the experience. The very last, seminar I went to, was exactly that, how to upsell. And well, they're not going to sell, but it was how to take advantage of people when they're emotionally raw, when they're grieving. And I left that meeting. I came home and I told Wendy, I said, it's not why I got into this. I have to do what I think I put on this earth to do. And that is to be an advocate for family. So what I do, it's kind of twofold, is the majority of what I do is I partner with family-owned funeral homes, not corporate funeral homes, because they, unfortunately, sometimes, and I don't want to bash anybody, but sometimes they have shareholders they have to, they're accountable to. Let's just put it that way. Family funeral homes are so much better at taking the time, listening, serving the families, and not upselling. And that's what I'm passionate about. Some people want the bells and whistles. Most people don't. They want you to be honest with them. They want you to be truthful. And that's where, that's who I am and who we are as a small, a small agency.
Can I ask a question about the situation with the 7 siblings? Yeah. Is there something Mom could have done while she was alive to that's why we're here, right? We're here to talk about how to eliminate those kinds of conversations, those kinds of arguments. The man with the golden rule, I have the gold, so I get to make all the rules. Because that's got to feel terrible that, because not everybody is ready to pay for an expensive funeral. And because it's an expense, even if you go low budget, it's still an expense. Right. So what could have Mom done with those 7 siblings to assure that this fight wouldn't have happened at the time of her passing?
Yes. Well, first of all, the husband had already passed. So I will say shame on the funeral home for not following up with that woman and suggesting that she also plan ahead. Typically, husbands and wives, especially if they're older, they're going to do the same exact thing down to the casket.
Right. Yeah.
But if it's cremation, maybe they want, he wants more masculine urn, she wants more, whatever. But she could have planned ahead. And I don't know, again, this is why I do what I do, and my team, we're so passionate, because we want people to know not only can they plan all of this ahead of time, we can do it over the phone, we could do it over Zoom, they can pay ahead of time. And when they pay ahead of time, they can lock in the prices. So maybe they plan a funeral day and they don't die for 20 years. They don't get any more.
That's a good point.
Oh, that is a good plan. Because anything, prices go up. Now, how detailed can you get in your planning?
I just so happen to be a little prepared for that. Number one is we're going to get the majority of your death certificate information filled out. I cannot tell you how many times people have come into funeral homes and we say to them, what's your mother's maiden name? Oh, I don't know. Okay.
Wait, my mother's maiden name or my mother's mother? My grandmother's maiden name?
Right. Who
the hell knows that?
What city and state were your parents born in? Well, I know it was Texas, but I'm not sure what city. I think it was. This is a legal document. We can't
hold that document up for a second, and we're going to get a single shot on you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information.
No. Oh, yeah. A second thing is accept or decline embalming. Yeah.
Wow.
Accept or decline embalming. This one is if there's going to be a viewing, whether it's a cremation afterwards or a traditional funeral burial, if there's a viewing, the funeral home will say it is their policy that you need to be embalmed. If it's just a cremation, no viewing, but either way, we need this. And this can't be changed, by the way. So say mom wants to do a viewing and she wants to do a traditional funeral. If mom had this on file with us, there would be no questions amongst those 7 siblings. This is what mom wanted. We're going to honor it. And the funeral home has to honor it. Okay. Then we have, the very first form is we need what we call the release authorization. And that's it. When somebody passes away, if you work with us, we're going to have a file at that funeral home. You're also going to get a little card, a wallet-sized card, where that funeral home, where the file is, which funeral home, their phone number, address, and such. So when the passing happens, you'll have immediate access to that little wallet card, right? And I don't give it just to the person. I say, how many kids do you have? Let's get one for each of the children.
Wow. Yeah.
So that you can do 7. Yeah, I'm very detailed, very detailed. Having gone through it and having seen what I've seen, you guys, oh, yeah. You have to be detailed. You have to be. Affidavit in support of a claim to control disposition of bodily remains. In other words, who's in charge? Who's in charge? Where's the deceased person going to go? Are we going to cremate them? If we're going to cremate them, we need to know, the county needs to know where remains are going to go. It could be simple. You're going to bring them to the house and it's going to be somebody's residence. We're going to take them to a cemetery and bury them in the ground or in the wall. Then we need to know that. County needs to know that.
Now you have this form because somebody asked, where do we get these forms? Now, my understanding is you have these forms. So if I'm a client of yours, you give me these forms ahead of time and that's when I get them all filled in. Okay.
Absolutely. And then what we do is, again, I'm creating your file for you. So what I do is, I'm just going to go through just a few more.
Wait, I have one more question, Kat.
Oh, of course.
One more question, because we have a question here. Do you do anything for people outside of California or California only?
I can work with anybody.
Okay.
I'm licensed in California and Nevada currently. But I'm getting more people on my team, but we can help more people out of state. And some people right now, I'm working with people in Texas and New York that are going to come on my team. And we also speak Spanish. I'm trying to get a team that can speak to every community out there.
Oh gosh. Now, and I did not mean to interrupt your flow there. It's just, this is such great information. And if somebody, and I would hate for you to say, and I only serve Northern California, So because we have,
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Most of this stuff, Kat, most of this stuff applies, or at least should be a consideration when you're making your plans anyway, regardless of where you are, right? All of the stuff that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So yes, we're your client. We go to you. You have this form. We fill it out. We get it back to you, and you go over it with us.
So basically, so let me just go. I'm going to go back a little bit to a few more forms.
Please.
I'll get back to that. Then this is the release of cremated remains. That's somebody who's picking up cremate, if that's the choice. We're going to have them sign off. So we need legally at the funeral home, they need to know where the cremated remains are going to go. If there's an obituary, I have an obituary worksheet. We also need to know if there was a final a pre-need arrangement, and the funeral home will want that.
What's that?
Also, pardon me?
What's
pre-need arrangement? Pre-need, meaning advanced planning.
Okay.
Right. When somebody dies, it's called an at-need. What I do is I do pre-need. I help you before.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we talked about being detailed, Deb. I get it down to where are we going to do the service? If you're going to have a viewing, what do you want to be wearing? If you wear glasses, When you're viewed, do you want your glasses on? You're going to look like you more, you're going to look more natural if people know you with glasses. Earrings, what jewelry, cosmetizing, what kind of music and songs, what kind of flowers. Do you want an obituary? If so, what newspaper? Who do we need to notify? If you're a veteran, DD 214, I want a copy so I can put it in your file.
That's your that's the
go
paper
on
they
and
give
on.
you when you leave the military.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yep. So I could definitely go on and on about what needs to be done. And why I say there's 68 things, we together, me and my clients, are going to be able to take care of the majority, 99% of it. All you have to do is pass away.
Oh my goodness. Now,
Well, that's the easy part, it sounds like.
if you're working with a small funeral home, first of all, my daughter, my youngest, turned me on to someone named Caitlin Dowdery. I don't know if you know her. She's
yes.
She's that YouTube. She's a mortician, and she takes it step by step. All these different things that make you laugh and listen and learn.
Yeah.
And anyway, so she's a small business, but due to COVID, she's had to turn people away because COVID has just been so taxing on the funeral home. But the one thing is, this is a business that has longevity. Let's face it. Everyone needs it. Yeah. But what happens if your funeral home that you had made plans with, what happens if they change hands or if they go under? That's not a problem?
No. Because what's wonderful about what we do, thank you so much for asking that, Jen. Back in probably up until about 20 years ago, funeral homes, and some still do, I don't know how they're allowed to, but funeral homes would help you to pre-arrange or pre-plan. And what they would do is they'd open up, they'd put in their checking account or whatever, and they would charge you monthly. And then so the money was going to them. Well, what happens, what would happen if that funeral home went out of business? Well, there went your money. So the state got involved, the states, I should say. It might have been the federal government. I'm not sure. However, now the funeral homes are only offering pre-need through a licensed, me and my team, of course, a licensed agent. We have to have a life insurance license. The nice thing is about this, it's covered, it's life insurance. Traditional life insurance, while it's fantastic to have, and we should have it, insurance, sorry, my battery's running a little, is
get a charge in there, girl, because we have questions.
So when somebody passes away with a traditional life insurance policy, the funeral home will expect payment for services rendered. So what will happen is, first of all, they don't have all these forms to handle, so they don't really have any. Yes, that money will eventually be, but funeral homes are going to want to be paid up front. You have to wait until you get a death certificate, right, from the county, and then with the death certificate, then you can have that policy cashed in. So somebody's going to have to pay up front. With us, what I love about this product is we pay the funeral home within 24 to 48 hours of the passing. So the family doesn't have to open up.
Because they've already done it, right? They've already made payments.
And they, excuse me, I'm talking a lot. They can either pay in full when we write the policy, or they can pay for up to, in some cases, up to 10 years. They can make monthly payments. If they move, no worries. It goes with them. It's a life insurance policy through Great Western. So your money's completely safe.
Now, this is an interesting question because this has happened several times in my family. If somebody can't afford their funeral and somebody has something already in place, can they give that plan to somebody?
I've never had, that's a good question. I don't think so because it's under somebody else's name.
Okay. I was just curious.
You know what? That's a good question. I've never had that question. I don't know.
Yeah, because we've had that a couple times when
it is. And you have, Oh,
I think we might have frozen.
There you are. Are you charged? Are you charged?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So
yes, I'm charged.
You're charged. So we've covered, what this looks like. Now can we talk about expense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Of course. So what do you want to know?
We got a question actually that would jump back to the
talk about.
There is a little bit of a delay. I think she was going to go on to expense, but then she heard you say there's a question.
Yeah.
Deb, why don't you ask that question?
My mother has paid for pre-planned for funeral, but not her casket, and I'm feeling uncomfortable with asking her. So can you address the whole awkward, uncomfortable way to bring this up to parents?
Yes. This is this is crazy today. How do we talk to, right? And that is our parents. I know that as a mom of two kids myself, both of them, I would have done anything. And boy, God knows I did. I tried my hardest to go out and find my daughter that toy.
Yeah.
And I know my mom had a hard time getting me Chatty Cathy, but we go out of our way to, and we didn't have Amazon, right? We went to Toys R Us or Kmart, Target, whatever. So our parents went out of their way to that Christmas.
Right.
Overjoyed. And I think it's important for us to say, Mom, Dad, you have done so for me. The one thing that we haven't, and I'm going to use, haven't picked up a casket. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking, Mom? What do you want? I mean, at some point we have talking about this life cycle. That's what it is.
Life cycle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
To us all.
You're cutting in and out a little bit. I'm looking at your
I hope that helped
the meter of your internet connection. But you're absolutely right. At some point, we need to become comfortable with the fact that this is going to happen, and we need to have these conversations.
Yeah, and I like the analogy with a toy because you move heaven and earth to get your kid the toy that they want, and so all you're doing is you're asking somebody what they would like. Yeah. So can we talk about expense now?
Right.
I think she might be handling
I think she's handling the internet issue. So if anybody has any questions, we know that the audio is choppy, but we're trying to get that all figured out here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you have any questions,
make sure I'm plugged in.
Okay. Yeah, very choppy. So I'm looking at the meter on your internet connection. I'm wondering if it's
yeah, I am.
If maybe there's a drain on your network, your bandwidth at your house.
Tom Salazar said that didn't answer his question. My mother has paid for pre-planned her funeral, but not her casket, and I'm uncomfortable with asking her. Oh, Tom, are you saying you're uncomfortable asking your mom to pay for her casket? I think that's the question. So, and then somebody, I don't know if this is real, Karen Strain, I don't know if this is real, but after watching these videos with Caitlin Dowry, I wouldn't doubt it. Can people, you must have some odd requests. Can people do natural burials, become a firework, do the aqua burials?
Karen Strain is saying, is saying, I want to be a firework. Hunter Thompson was a firework.
No.
He absolutely was. You can see it.
Is that legal?
Part of his, she looks frozen.
Oh.
So I'm going to tell this story. Johnny Depp actually got involved and paid for Hunter Thompson to be blown into smithereens. Yeah, we lost.
That's right. We lost Kathy. We're going to get her back. Tom Salazar. Yes, that would be an uncomfortable conversation. Maybe you start off with, this is such a great idea. You've already done everything. Let's talk about caskets so I know which one you would like to be buried in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if she's already prepaid it, you might want to let her know that the price of a casket, according to Kat, will stay at the same price, even if she dies 20 years from now. So I'm hoping that answered the question.
Yeah, and I want to go back while we're waiting for Kat to come back, and just ask, first of all, why are we calling her Kat? It's Kate everywhere on her paperwork, and everyone's saying
I think it's just
Kate
like me, Debbie. It's Deb. Yeah,
okay.
People have known me for a long time.
So I want to go back to something she said about how most couples, especially older couples, want to do something similar. And it's usually the same setup, like maybe the burial plot, the caskets, or the service, all that. I really didn't think about that until about 4 years ago when my mom passed away. And because when she passed away at that time, my initial thought was I wanted to be cremated. And then Debbie's talking about she's not going to be cremated. She's afraid of leaving a candle on overnight, or if we leave somewhere, I'll left a candle on. Cremation is not in the cards for Debbie. So I started to consider, well, then if that's the case, like I can't be cremated and have my ashes spread somewhere if she's going to be buried somewhere, because for some reason now in my head, I'm thinking we're not going to be together in the afterlife. That's just kind of a silly.
It is a silly thing because it's just a body.
Yeah, it's just a body, but those are the things you think about.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's a discussion you have to have. And Tom, I agree. Talking about money is really awkward, especially with your folks. But when I picture what happens, I mean, when your mom passed away, you were there with your sister, and there was arguments over who was going to pay because everybody wanted to pay. It was like, I've got it. No, I've got it. No, I've got it. And thankfully it wasn't the other way around where somebody wasn't able to pay. And I know we had a family friend who died, and it was a son-in-law who took out a credit card and said, I've got it. And then everybody paid him back. So, yeah, it's something I do like, this idea of pre-planning. I do like the idea of prepaying, because if the price goes up, as everything goes up,
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I see we're getting Kat back here.
One
Debbie
second.
We're going to bring her right back in. Bam, there she is.
Hi. We missed you. Can you hear us?
Oh, I don't see audio coming through.
Let's unmute.
Yeah.
Should I tell her to unmute? It's like the gods don't want us to get this all together.
Jose and Lane Vinegas, you can be cremated and placed in the same plot with her. I guess.
Really?
I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you could. Here, I'm going to take her out just for 1 second so she can get that worked out.
Yeah. That's interesting. And then Debbie Gross said, my parents had everything in place. It was great, but so hard when my sister passed.
Oh,
that is hard. We, Debbie Grow and I have a classmate, a lot of you who are on here had a classmate whose son died at his own hands. And that really took them by surprise, of course, and they didn't have the money, but there was actually an agency out there, a foundation that provided money to parents who have teenagers die of suicide. And, so you don't realize there are people out there willing to help you. My mom has had her plot paid for after my dad passes away since when I was 2. Yeah.
For my parents. And okay, I'm going to bring Kat back in and see if we can hear. But Kat, if you can hear us, can you just put your hand up like this? We want to make sure you can hear us.
Can you hear us?
I don't see that. So I'm going to give her a moment. And Rev It Up 24. I was right about to ask that about Ash just putting the same plot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I wonder if you would want me in your plot. After COVID and being quarantined together, after being quarantined together, I don't know if I want to spend the afterlife in a tiny space like that.
She says, I'm back. I can't hear you. Says I'm backstage. Can you help her?
I'm going to bring you in like this. And how about now? Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I don't think so. I don't think they can hear us.
Are they on mute?
They're not on mute.
Do you want to talk to her on Facebook and I'll take the questions?
Yeah.
My dad was cremated and my mom was buried together. So they're in paradise together. Not in my family. My brother will leave on me past the buck, but I'll sleep at night. Oh my goodness. That got a little personal.
Not in my family. Brother. Yeah. Yeah.
So anybody out there have a prepaid plan? Anybody out there, have you had this discussion with your family? A lot of people are saying that your parents have done it and it was the kindest thing that they've done. Those of us with adult children, are you thinking about doing it so your children don't have to do that? My best gift my father-in-law gave us was his pre-planned / paid funeral. Sounds like that's the way to go.
Yeah. And, we're having a hard enough time just with the last will and trust. Like Debbie said, we've had it paid for forever. We just never sat down to do it. And I don't know if it's an emotional thing for us. But what also, Kat mentioned something that I've been thinking about, which is I'm a former Marine. So I am entitled to be buried somewhere. And the question I have is, could we share that because you're my spouse? So that's something that we'll have to ask her when she gets back in.
Yeah, I don't know. How about we tackle the topic why we don't want to talk about it?
Why don't you want to talk about it?
I do. I want to talk about it. I know that we have everything in place. It's just a matter of getting the ball started. I know we have money set aside for this. And Debbie Gross said my father-in-law refuses to talk about it. So I guess we're in good company there. He doesn't have a trust either. Yes, we're thinking about it. My husband's much older than I am, and my mom is at the age. So we are in that bracket where we need to start planning. I think because it's hard to picture life without your spouse. It's hard to picture life without your a family member. It's just hard, right? And so we don't want to do it because if we do it now, it's real. But it's going to be real anyway. It's going to be real anyway. So why not take care of it? I wouldn't want you to stay up at night going, oh, I wonder what Debbie wanted to wear. Or I wonder if, I always saw her in glasses. I want to keep her glasses on. I wonder, you don't want to be left wondering. And you don't want somebody who has no knowledge of who you are making those decisions for you.
Right. Okay. I can see their monitor going for the audio.
Okay.
Wendy, hi. You're not on. I won't bring you on, but if you can hear me, if you can put Kat in frame and we'll bring her back into the show, that would be great. All right, here we go. We're going to bring you in.
Karen Webster says, we went to the cemetery 2 years ago with my mom. My dad died in 1989 and his ashes are in an urn at my mom's house. At the cemetery, the gentleman we spoke with said both could be in the same vault.
Oh, interesting. Hi, Kat. Welcome back.
Hi, Kat. Welcome back.
I'm so sorry. Some
That's okay.
people will do anything to take a bathroom break. Joking. I don't know where we left off. So I am so sorry, everybody.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think, like Debbie said, you know, we've just had some gremlins in the machinery tonight with this one, but glad that you're sticking with us. And meanwhile, a lot of people have been talking and sharing their experiences.
Yeah. And we're talking about why we don't want to do this, why we avoid it, why it's so uncomfortable as couples, spouses, partners. I think that it just makes it real. But my understanding of this, Kat, is once you do it, it's done. You really don't need to revisit it until somebody dies, right? I mean, once you make all these, once we go to you and once we become your client and we have the planning process.
It's absolutely done. Yeah. It's
So I think we left off on expenses.
Okay. Are you guys able to hear me? Because
We
you're
can hear
cutting
you.
out.
We left off on expenses, and we'll be quiet so you can go ahead and just talk to that point.
Deb?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. If you notice right here. See that?
Okay.
There you go. What we might have to do.
So I expenses. Basically, I want to go back to the so really quick. I want to go back to the comment that you made, Deb, about as spouses, we don't want to talk about it.
So
you know what we're going to do? We're going to try to call Kat on speaker, and then you won't be able to see her lovely face, but it'll be able to talk to her.
I'm going to take her out of the show, and I apologize to you guys. I'm looking at the monitor on her connection, and it keeps going to full bars down to 0. That's her connectivity kind of going back and forth. Mine is, it's at 8 out of 10 network connection. So while Debbie tries to connect, I'm not sure her number.
653, yeah.
Okay. Then what we're going to do is just give her a call and ask these questions.
Okay, you want me to put on speaker?
We're just going to, we're going to do you on speaker here because what we want to talk about next is going to be expenses and how somebody can get a hold of you.
But if you could take it off of speakerphone, because what it's going to do is loop through. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. All right. Yay, we have a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm so sorry. So did you want me to go over the expense part of it, or what is it?
Yes, expenses, and then we have several requests for your contact information.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So let's start with expenses. When you are looking at a cremation with some sort of a memorialization at church, chapel, park, wherever, you can look at spending, I would say on average, about $3,500. When you are looking at a funeral, casketed funeral, church service, something like that, you're talking probably on average $8,500, and I say average because of course some cities are going to be more expensive. than others. And but those are averages. Those are, the averages that I work on.
Okay. And you said that you can make payments. So would it be like a down payment and then you make monthly?
Exactly. Well, yeah. What you do basically is you can make monthly payments. And let me explain the reason why I do it that way for myself. When I made my plan, it was I think probably 53, and that was 6 years ago. And I did mine for 5 years, so mine's already paid off and sitting at the funeral home, just I would say ready to be used, but it's there, it's done. Nobody has to pay anything more. So, like I said, people can either pay it in full, or they can pay anywhere. They can make 1 year up to, and depending on their age, if somebody's 80 and less, below that in age, they can make payments for up to 10 years. Most people choose 3 or 5 years, and because they just kind of want to get it paid off.
Right.
And but we also understand, if you're talking about a funeral that's $8,500, most Americans don't have that just sitting in their checking account.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why we work with people. And I know I don't need to say this to your fan base, but there's no credit check, so this isn't going to ding your credit or anything like that.
Interesting.
And there's no medical exam needed. Because it is insurance, so no one's going to poke or prod or anything.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It's a completely easy form of insurance. And again, like I said, it could be done right over the phone. And with COVID, that's how I've been doing all my appointments. In fact, I'm working with 6 clients right now. And we've all done it just over the phone.
Interesting. Now, before we get into the business aspect, because I know you're also growing your business, so I think I would like to ask some questions about if somebody out there, because let's face it, a lot of us have lost our jobs, and we're gonna have to find something new. A lot of us are gonna have to maybe even get into a whole new kind of line of work. So the statement I wanted to say before we jump into that conversation is, I am so surprised that your expenses, once paid, are done, considering things go up in price every year.
Cost of materials, everything. And a tie-in question to that, Tom is asking, is that cost, that price that you gave, before or after the casket?
Oh, if it's an $8,500, that would be casket included.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. So people keep asking, does the funeral home work with life insurance?
Oh, again, yes. However, the answer is it's actually no. And I'll tell you, I had mentioned that earlier, and perhaps I was cutting out, so I'm glad somebody asked it. With life insurance, in order to cash in a life insurance policy, you have to be able to show a death certificate. Families don't typically get a death certificate until a couple of days after the services are over. So somebody has to pay up front. One of the family members or several people will need to pay up front. And then they have to apply, or they have to send a death certificate to the insurance company. And then it'll take, at the very minimum, 6 weeks to get paid back.
Huh.
Okay.
So this insurance is different in the fact that this insurance, once the funeral home calls the insurance company, Great Western pays that funeral home within 24 to 48 hours. A penny doesn't have to come out of the family's pocket. Yes, of course, they want to hire Lady Gaga to do, sing at the funeral.
Yeah, right.
Have to come up with it.
Right.
And you know what? This question came up right as you were cutting out, but it's a serious question, and I know that this is something that's happened before. But someone asked, and they asked twice: can I be turned into a firework?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. You know what, guys? I'm going to tell you one thing, because I've stayed up on all the trends, of course, in my industry, because I'm fascinated, right? So I'm sure everybody here knows of green burial, and if not, I'm happy to school you a bit on it. But long story short, I have chosen cremation with a, so I'm kind of taking my Catholic roots, but also in what was it, the mid-60s or late 60s, the Pope said, yeah, you can be cremated.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I'm doing is, for myself and for many of my family members, what I'm doing is I'm doing I'm going to have a visitation. I want people to come and, cry and moan and wail. And then I want to be cremated. And then we're going to have a church service. And then I'm going to be scattered in the ocean. And we're going to take out a boat. And I have that all planned out and taken care of now.
Nice.
See, and everybody would know this is what she wanted. This is exactly what she wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. No questions asked. I helped my older sister with her planning, and we used to go up in summer at Big Bear every year. So we're going to rent, her husband passed, and I helped with, the family with that. And so when my sister Mary passes, she and Mark, we're taking the urns up to Big Bear, renting a pontoon. They're going to go out. We're going to scatter them on Big Bear Lake. My sister put money aside in the policy. We're going to go out for a big steak and lobster dinner.
Oh my gosh, you can get it down to every detail. Yeah. So,
girl, I'm telling you want detail. I got it.
We got a couple more questions here.
Yes, of course.
Is there a place you cannot scatter ashes?
Well, I will tell you do not want to be caught scattering ashes if you don't have a permit. So I can tell you horror stories of people that have said, well, because I have to ask where the cremated remains going to go. And people go, well, we're just going to take them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to cover my ears right now. We're going to say they're going home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're not supposed to.
Before we move on, what is a permit? What does that cost to spread ashes?
It depends on the county that you're in. But if you know that your kids are going to want to scatter you at, like I said, Big Bear Lake, well, that's San Bernardino County. So then I would call and find out what the permit runs, so we could put that with a little inflation. We could put that into your policy. So when I say your kids won't have to pay a dime, they really won't have to pay a dime. Now, some people want their kids to cough up money.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And that's fine, too. But at least take care of the basics and freeze the funeral home costs.
Right. We have a couple more questions.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Somebody asked, what if the casket they picked out and prepaid for is discontinued?
Then you'll get a casket that is as similar as possible.
Okay.
That's a good.
Even if the funeral home has to use a different vendor and it costs them more, they will do it.
Okay. We have a question from Scott. Fabian and I have wills and a trust. Now that we're legally married, do we still need the trust?
Oh, you know what? That's not my expertise.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm not. I only play an attorney on TV.
But see, that's a good.
Not my expertise.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. We went through. We have a last will and trust available. We haven't finished filling it out. But we're married. We've been together for 350 years. So we'll have to look into that for you, Scott.
Yeah, we'll look into it, Scott. I know you'll have a fabulous, I hate to say it because I love you so much, you and Fabian. I know you'll have a fabulous funeral because that wedding was, out
crazy.
Of this world.
Yeah,
that was the best wedding in the world. Disneyland.
The Rainbow Coalition, we know how to do it.
I know. There were costume changes. There were costume changes at this wedding. Yeah. For Pilar's Gunkle Scott and Gunkle Fabian. Can Catholics scatter ashes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Can you separate ashes? Like my mom, some of you take mom.
My mother's ashes have been separated, and that's been a topic in this house for, a couple times because apparently you're not supposed to. Is that true?
Well, here's what I want you. Here's what I guess I could leave with you. Legally, the truth of the matter is I call them ashes when I'm speaking publicly. If I'm in the funeral home, we never refer to them as ashes, or we shouldn't. They are cremated remains. They are a human. They were a human, right? So I think that we tend to consider people that are in a casket almost more human than we do when we've reduced somebody's body down to ashes. And I hope what I'm saying is making sense.
It's very respectful.
So I would say that, yes, they can be separated. However, there is a charge. No, let me give you an example. I have had many clients, and the kids, want, the mom says, well, I want so-and-so to be able to make some jewelry, and so I want her to have some ashes so she can put it in the jewelry, and I want this one, and maybe a keepsake urn, which is a tiny little miniature urn that you can keep, like, tablespoon of ashes, whatever. But yes, you just need to let the funeral home know that that's what you want, and there is a $12 cost for each permit, because again, the county wants a record of where their remains are going to go. Now, if somebody takes the cremated remains home, opens them up, and divvies them out, we have no control over that.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody wrote.
Yeah, we don't have control.
Somebody wrote, thank you both for covering this topic. We lost my dad to COVID in December and have been dealing with all the COVID delays and challenging things that follow afterwards. You guys are the best.
Erica,
we're so sorry for your loss, Erica, and we're glad that this is helping.
Yes.
Do you have any advice for example, I lost an aunt to COVID and she died before Christmas, and I was so heartbroken to find out that they weren't going to do anything with her until the second week of January. And my florist was the one that calmed me down. She said, no, they can't, because people decorate the cemetery during the holidays. They don't do burials. She said, because it would just, upset I have
never heard of that.
That's what my florist told me, that they don't do burials during the holidays.
Wow. I've worked at 2 different cemeteries, and that would never fly with us. So
could it just be COVID that they were
just specific?
Could it just be they were backed with COVID cases?
No, I mean, it depends on what cemetery is. If you're in the heart of LA, very possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, that doesn't. Yeah, I mean, they might have their policies, but I've never. Yeah, that's interesting.
Well,
I do want to get to the business end, and Travis is going to put up how we can contact Kat. And
yeah, I did. I want to mention a couple things here. Debbie says Disneyland gets very upset if you scatter ashes there.
She works at Disneyland, and she said,
"Okay,
yeah."
So my comment to her is, then that she can confirm what I tell my clients. People ask me, where do people illegally put cremated or ashes, right? And I'll say, from what I know, there have been quite a few ashes discovered, or dumpings, or whatever you want to call it, scatterings in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
That's the first place I thought of.
what?
Where else?
Yeah.
Where else would you? It's dark in there.
Well, if you didn't like the
dirt.
Small world.
Small world.
All these ideas I should not.
That'd make me crazy.
Yeah.
Tiki house.
Yeah.
So
I've heard it, all of you guys. You name it, I've heard it.
what's the weirdest one? Can I get a little bit morbid and ask you what the weirdest one?
No, but I've had people. Oh gosh, there's so many. I had one person who, I don't know. I don't even really remember. All I know is, and I did not know this, I was working at the Jewish cemetery, and I sat in on an Atney family. The son had died, and apparently he had lost his leg to he had severe diabetes, and so he lost his leg. And now I didn't know this was a thing, but in Orthodox Judaism, what you need is the complete body for burial. So they had saved his leg somewhere. I thought they were pulling my leg. Oh my God.
You thought they were pulling his leg.
That was not even intended, you guys. Oh my God. That was not intended. That's kind of
Interesting.
But, I thought they were, seriously, I thought, they're playing a joke on me.
Yeah.
Because my people are telling me. I'm like, yeah. And they were serious. So I learned, So that was interesting. As far as scattering, no, I can't. There's nobody who's ever really shared a story with me about that. Yeah.
We're getting interesting ones here. We're getting the Haunted Mansion,
USC
football field, Wrigley Field.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Vegas, a lot of people want to go, I want to be flown a little bit over, the strip in a helicopter and dropped a little bit. I mean, everybody's got their little niche and what they want. And one thing I will tell you, because I know we're going to wrap this out, but one thing, so I'm going to be cremated, and I said, well, that's one of the cleanest and most ecological, leaving, less for carbon footprint. Be on the lookout. It's not popular because the machine costs about $500,000 right now, but down the road, they're going to be offering aquamation.
That's what I was telling you about at dinner, Travis.
While I was eating, she was telling me about this process.
Spa. It's a spa.
But yeah, it's aquamation is where the body will go into a solution and it will be broken down, and it and basically it is going to be the cleanest, or it is the cleanest process that leaves the least amount of damage to the earth. So, the machines are $500,000. I only heard of one, and I want to say somewhere in Southern California that has the machine, but I haven't confirmed that yet.
So
we deal with green burials, and I deal with it all. I partner with any family-owned funeral home, and I like doing research for people. I like that they say, hey, can we scatter here? I will find out, and I'll tell them what it's going to cost for the permit. So,
well, how about Paris?
That's what I do.
Somebody want to know Paris.
Oh, I'm sure. So many people have said they want to go and, and be dropped out of an airplane with their friend and then scattered, when they skydive. Yeah.
Jose Ann Lane Vanganis says, I got the Vegas scatterings covered for you, sissy. So
that's my sister Annie, of course.
I just want to say I saw you and one of your sisters. I want to say it was Mary, though, at David Scheffler's funeral.
Scheffler?
Yeah. And I remember seeing you look so calm, and you were such a calming force for the family. And that I just remember, like, everybody just being, it was just chaos, and it was confusion. It was sadness. It was grief. It was horrific at some point, and I just looked over, and you just had this sense of calm. And that's what I'm getting from you, is that you can provide that calmness for people. Can you help them if they don't know what they want?
Absolutely. And I even, something that I do as a it's a side thing that I do. I don't do it often, but if it's needed, I definitely will. I have been known to help people to, if they've just lost a loved one and they're completely like at a loss for what to do. I've been known to pretty much handle the planning for them and with them, kind of guide them and stuff. I do charge a fee for my services, of course. But again, I don't do it that often because I really focus on planning ahead. But I have had, people call me and they've had a sudden passing or what have you. And I am absolutely 100% available to help people in that situation because I've been there. And and it's easier for me. I know the questions to ask. I know who to call. You know what I mean? It's having that advocate. So, but anyway, the majority, 99% of my business is pre-planning.
Okay. We're going to put that information on how to get a hold of you. And while that's going up, I have another question that's kind of like the Paris questions. It's actually from my sister. Can you take ashes out of the country?
You can. You need to let the airlines know that you're doing that because they will ask. And I will tell you, put them in a wooden box. Don't take them in metal because the metal is going to set off all sorts of metal detectors.
Oh, that's right.
But the answer is yes, but you do need to let the airlines know ahead of time.
Oh, okay. And there was a question earlier about life insurance, and my dad actually chimed in because he lost his wife some years ago. He said the funeral home that handled my wife's service accepted my life insurance and I didn't have to pay a dime. I had to sign paperwork with the funeral home. Within a couple of weeks, I received the insurance money minus the complete cost of her funeral.
I think what we're hearing here is just prepared and pre-planned is the best way to go. So we have your information up there, everybody. You can see that's how you can get a hold of Kat. If you have questions, if you have, pardon me? Is it Kate?
I think Kate. I use Kat on Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, Travis was asking. Okay, I'm sorry. Travis goes, why do you keep calling her Kat? I go the same way people call me Deb.
Yeah, I'm like, it says Kate, but so
I'm so sorry.
On screen.
No, it's fine.
On screen, we've got your we've got your telephone number there. We've got your email address for those that might be listening to this later, because we do take these shows and put them on iHeart and Spotify and that. Please go to you could check it out on Facebook or YouTube, but I just want to briefly give your email address if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay, it's katelanesolutions@gmail.com. That's KATELANE solutions@gmail.com. And for those of you watching, her license numbers are there for Nevada and California, and her telephone number. And you can reach out to her and ask any of these questions.
Yeah. Sarah Marks Brown wrote, my son passed away last year and Kate was a total lifesaver for me. She organized everything.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, welcome to the show, Sarah. And we're so glad that Kate could help you like that. That's just who she is. So let's get into the business side. Is this a good business to get involved in? Is it hard? Is there a lot you have to learn? Are there tests you have to take to get your license?
Are you looking for a new job?
No, but a lot of people will be. You know, a lot of people got displaced. A lot of people aren't going to be able to go back to the job that they used to have. And like we were saying, this is, you're always going to need funeral planning.
Right. So number one is I'm very picky about who I have on my team. I have a very small team. I am looking to grow my team, but they have to be, I don't hire salespeople. I hire compassionate people, and I prefer these people to have suffered a loss in their life so they can speak from the heart. Number two is, yes, they have to be licensed. They have to get licensed in the state of California. They do have to have a California state life insurance license. If they have one of those, we can get started right away. I do all the training myself, and I also sit in on the first handful of appointments, whether it's a 3-way call with a client or what have you. I want my team to know that there are going to be questions that are going to come up that they can't answer. You know, and I can only answer them because I've had the experience. So I would never put my new folks in front of a family without me being there to help them through.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But typically people, get this pretty quickly. It's once they see, it's all pretty much in the paperwork that I do and I've created and I provide. So it's really, if they follow the way I do it, they'll be very successful, and they are successful. So, but I will tell you, the community that is least served is the Latin community, people who speak Spanish, very, very underserved in pre-planning. People aren't getting out there and speaking. And so I have 2 people on my team who speak Spanish, and they are just finding people are so appreciative. They're able to get the information. And I'm blessed to have them on my team. They're great. So anyway, but yeah, I'm always looking for talent, but more importantly, again, I would never want, I don't say I don't want salespeople. That doesn't sound nice to say that, but I really want people that, number one, need really, well, like myself, I wasn't fulfilled. I was making a really good salary, but I was not fulfilled. And I needed something where I felt My two sisters are both, in the nursing environment, and I felt, I was always a little envious, and I just knew that I had a calling on my life, and I needed to be doing something different. And I never in a million years would have thought I would be working, doing funeral and cremations, but here I am, and I could never go back to doing anything other than this.
Well, everybody is so blessed to have you. And we have another testimony on here too. My friend Michelle from Loretta Rohr Bowen.
Oh.
I love Loretta. All my shows are dedicated to Loretta.
Every
She's
one of
my
them.
favorite cook. Loretta, you can do this, Loretta. We're going to do this. We're going to caramelize onions, girl. Hang in there. So she wrote, my friend Michelle lost her husband this past July and was so appreciative of Kate's services. So you are really impactful on people, and we opened this conversation up, and it was a tough topic, and we had to battle the technical gremlins.
Yes, we did.
But, I think that we came full circle, and people ask their questions, and they feel comfortable knowing that somebody like you is available to help them. And I think you gave so much great information. Is there anything else that you want to add?
Just don't be afraid to call me, because I put the fun in funeral. I'm just joking. It's such an old joke. But no, really, we're going to talk. We're going to put a plan in place, and then you're going to go on living. And then I'm going to tell you, I don't see you ask, excuse my French, for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm here to serve, and I want to help. And if you, it's time. If you're anybody like me, I'm 52, 59. And my average client, just figured this out the other day, is 53 years old.
No.
Which most people, yeah.
Wow.
No, that's not the age they pass. That's the age they
average
plan.
client that pre-plans.
Okay.
My average client, remember, I helped them plan out.
Right. I'm
You
sorry.
scared my wife there for a moment.
I'm like, I'm past due. But I am past due to get something figured out.
No, like I said, though, my average client, I figured it out. I took all the ages and 54, and which surprised me really, because I guess you would think that it's going to be a lot older, like people in their 70s, 80s, whatever. But no, people are planning more now too. They just are, and I don't know if it's COVID or what it is, but
might be.
Yeah, life is fragile. We're seeing it all over how fragile life can be.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
Well, we want to close with, Travis and I wrote a book about conversation starters and would you rather. And so we kind of played these little games with our guests at the end to just kind of add some levity at the end and leave everybody on a good note. So you want to play?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we going to do would you rather and why? Or just a conversation starter?
Let's do one of each.
Okay, we're going to do would you rather and why.
Okay. So you can't see his cat, but we're getting.
All right. And I'm going to get the colander of questions. All right. Here we go.
Okay. We find that sometimes we have to go through them because they'll have dating questions.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
And Kate has been married to her wife for a while. And so we kind of leave out the dating questions. Get out.
Well, that's a good one.
Would you rather be shot into space, Kate, or explore the deepest depths of the sea?
Oh, the sea.
Oh, yeah.
I love the ocean. All things ocean.
Yeah, and there's so much in the world of the ocean that we don't know about.
Yeah, I would love that. Would you rather?
There's a whole lot of ashes in there, I'll tell you that.
Apparently on the Pirates of the Caribbean too. Uh-huh. Would you rather go on a romantic lazy beach vacation with your with Wendy, or a busy tour of a foreign city?
Oh. We've done the lazy beach. I do the busy tour.
Okay.
Of a foreign city.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
And my last one is one I like to ask a lot of people. What was your weirdest purchase during COVID? Like something you bought that you went, I didn't think I would ever need a bread maker or whatever it is. What is your weirdest?
Oh my God. oh my God, I got a bread maker. And I'm making bread like every freaking 2 days.
Oh, I bet your house smells amazing.
Are you really? Oh my gosh.
I swear, I'm making bread every 2 days because that's crazy. And that would be I don't think I would have purchased one pre-COVID.
Right.
You know, you're not home that often.
Yeah, why would you?
Why would you? Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Thanks for answering for me.
Of course. Well, we thank you so much. And we hope that people will contact you because you're the person that I want to contact. We'll be talking soon and setting something up. And Travis is a vet. So, you know, you already spoke to veterans and so I know that you have knowledge about that. And we thank you so much. This was such a difficult topic. And I think, like I said, the gremlins were out there trying to stop our audience from getting this information, but I'm so glad we pushed through and got you.
Yeah.
And God is more powerful than gremlins.
Well, love to Wendy, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay. We'll see ya. Good night.
Take care.
That was really good.
I really enjoyed having her on.
And thank you so much for your questions. You helped generate some conversation there. So I guess what we can surmise from this is pre-plan and prepay is the way to go. It really helps with your loved ones. Your loved ones don't have to think about what you might like. And it is shocking to know that at corporate funeral homes, they are going to upsell you, because they don't care and they don't know you. You want to go to somebody like Kate and her company who have a heart in this. And we had, I think, 3 people who talked about Kate's services and how beautiful and lovely she was and helped through this situation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so for those of you that are watching on Facebook or YouTube, if you go down into the description of this stream, we've actually got this information there. So please copy and paste that into a note or into a contact on your computer or your phone. Kate Lane is a broker owner of her own company. So we also always talk about supporting small businesses. And this is one of those opportunities where we can do that in a way that we're supporting someone who is going to help you prepare for your end of life, your family legacy planning. So
yeah, and it's a conversation. And like she said, I don't know how she worded it, but basically, once you're done, you're done. How did she say it? Oh, once you're done, you go back and live life.
Yeah, go back to living.
You go back to living. Right?
Yeah. So, you know, we're definitely going to keep that conversation going. And personally, we will probably end up employing her services,
right? And
in addition to the will and trust that we've been putting on.
And we will definitely let you know how that worked out and let you know if it was what the process was. And it sounds pretty painless.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is I thought it was a joke. Someone said earlier something about a Costco casket. Debbie Gross says we wanted to get a Costco casket for my sister.
Yeah, no, they sell them.
The cemetery said they would charge us a fee to use it.
You know what? I bet if it's a corporate cemetery, they have fees for every
they got to make their money.
thing. They got to make their money.
Look, we're all trying to make a living. We're all trying to do what we can do to earn money. But at that time, you don't want to be stuck dealing with someone who's going to try to gouge you for the sake of taking advantage of your emotions and what you're going through.
And Karen asked, you know, I wonder if anyone ever changes their minds on their plan after it's paid off. That would be a question for Kate. You know, what if you planned with your first spouse, you got a divorce, and I'm sure that has happened where somebody all of a sudden doesn't want to be buried next to their ex.
Yeah.
You know,
like Larry King.
What?
He had a handwritten, you know, Larry King passed away. Yes. He had a handwritten addendum to his will, and his estranged wife is now contesting it. Why do I know this? I don't know.
I don't know either.
You guys.
So Karen, that would be a question that you could probably email her. And if you look at the podcast, that was her email is there.
katelanesolutions@gmail.com.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you Sunday when we'll be cooking. I don't know what we'll be cooking.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we live stream cooking on Sundays at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time to the same channels, Facebook and YouTube. And then we do these every Tuesday. So if you're a new listener, please check back these same channels this time next week, 7 p.m. We promise we are going to have all the bugs worked out. I say as I hit my mic.
I think that was a cosmic thing. I think that, like you said, the word gremlins.
Yeah.
I think there was some bad vibes in the air that don't want you to be, ready to.
Okay.
I don't know. It was kind of cosmic, I thought, but we prevailed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
We came back in and did the show.
We got it done.
Came
we got
back
on the
in
phone.
and counted those votes.
Okay. Yes, we did. I don't know what she's saying.
Alrighty.
Where to find us? You can find us online, cookingwithdebbieandfriends.com, on Instagram at cookingwithdebbie, YouTube and Facebook, of course. And then after we're done, we go to the podcast platform. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Stitcher, Google, or wherever you're getting your podcasts. So you guys, please click like, please subscribe to us. And most importantly, come back and see us again and comment in the comment section, because we love interacting
and we
with
have
you
new
guys.
people that came on, and we even had a blogger that came on that blogs about the sandwich generation. You know what that is?
I don't.
That is when you're taking care of children and parents. So you're in the middle of that sandwich. And there are a lot of people out there that's part of that generation.
Okay.
So, let us know if you'd like us to interview you. But we did get quite a few new people. And I know that's because of Kate and how interesting the topic was. And see, it wasn't that bad.
And friends inviting friends. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. And, it wasn't scary at all.
Not much.
Not much.
For all of you guys, thank you. We love you. We appreciate you stopping in, and for all the well wishes tonight.
Let me show my pink hair before we go.
Yeah, look at this. Look at the strawberry shortcake I got here. All right, you guys. We will see you next week. Love you.